Dear all, we will begin the session soon. Thank you for joining. We will begin it soon. Good evening, Senate sir. May we start the session now? Am I audible to you?
Yeah, good evening. We can start. Yeah.
Yeah, 1 second, sir. A very warm welcome to day 3 of 6 days online faculty development program on From Idea to Impact Research Paper Writing, Publication and Patent Filing, organized by the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering in association with the R&D cell of Vidya Academy of Science and Technology Technical Campus, Kilimanur. We are delighted to have with you all with us today for the invited session on publication strategies and ethics. The session addresses the vital aspect of research too. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce today's distinguished resource person, Dr. Sinith M.S. Dr. Sinith M.S. is an associate professor and head of the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering at Government Engineering College, Wayanad. He holds a PhD in Electronics and Communication Engineering from Amartya Vishwavidyapeetham with specialization in signal processing and has strong academic foundations from institutions such as College of Engineering, Trivandrum. His research interests include audio and speech signal processing, music pattern recognition, speaker recognition, artificial intelligence, and deep learning for audio applications. He has published extensively in reputed international journals and conferences and has guided several research scholars in advanced signal processing domains. In addition to his research contributions, Dr. Sinith is a committed academician and mentor with rich experience in research guidance, scholarly publishing, and ethical research practices, making him especially suited to speak on today's topic. We are very sure that this session will provide valuable insights into ethical publishing, journal selection, and best practices for successful research dissemination. I now cordially invite Dr. Sinith M.S. to take over the session. Sir, please.
Yeah, thank you for the kind introduction. Um, yeah, I would like to know the background of the attendees. Are they all faculty members or are they PhD scholars? How is that?
So all are faculty members, sir. Some are PhD scholars and from various disciplines too. Not only ECE, but various disciplines. Some are holding PhD degrees, some are research scholars, and some are assistant professors in various colleges, sir.
Okay, okay. Yeah, thank you. So, I thought that I shall not be using any slides for this particular talk. Anyway, I'll be supplying some supplementary materials after the talk. So I thought that I shall give my experience as a researcher at different levels. As a researcher at the beginning for MTech, also we had an extensive research. Afterwards, PhD, and some post. Like after PhD also there was some works being done, and I have 5 PhD scholars under me registered at Government Engineering College Trishul. Their works and the experience based on that I shall share with you. Yeah, so I am not using any PPT for this particular talk. Now, I hope I'm audible. My
Yes,
voice
sir,
is
you're
clear,
audible,
right?
sir. Yes, sir, the voice is clear and you're audible too.
Okay. Now, my research, my talk, is basically on publication strategies and ethics that are to be followed for this, for any kind of research. Now, coming to the strategy of publications, and so the overall presentations will be a combination of all these, like that. Okay. So when you come to say research publications, there are several things that are to be considered. Say, for example, you have to identify the right audience to whom you are addressing your research. It could be sometimes a narrow band of people, or it could be a broad like people. For example, when you do research, for example, in my research, there is some mathematics, something connected to Fibonacci series and music, which comes to be an interdisciplinary subject. So that could be addressed to a broad array of people, and you can basically look for such kind of journals. Probably I started with the Nature itself, the best, one of the best journals that are considered to be one of the best journals. Even though it didn't get accepted there, we went for some Q1 journals in this area. So it depends on whether our work is impacting narrow band of people or broader range of people. And you can look for journal metrics. For example, whether the journal is from Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Sometimes you may not be knowing what these are. This Q1 means if your journal is considered to be among the first 25%, you call it Q1 journal. Then if your journal is in 25 to 50%, then you call it Q2 journal. So Q3, then Q4, you have 4 quarters, and the best journals are among Q1. So usually when someone asks you whether you have a journal publication, then if you tell that it is yes, they may ask you whether it is a SCI indexed, Scopus indexed, or whether it is a Q1, if it is whether material of whether they are Scopus or SCI or SCI or whatever it is, Q1 journal, etc. So in most of the universities, when students go for PhD, they are required to go for good publication. It could be either Scopus, it could be say SCI index, which is much better than that. And even if it is SCI index, if it is Q1, even it is even better than that. And some universities like Kerala Technological Universities for PhD completion, they look for SCI indexed journals, and maybe Scopus indexed journals also they consider if they are say not paid. The publication is based on free, or if there is no publication fee, they accept that also. And yeah, so you have different categories of journals in that way. And your publications, if you have so many publications, it matter whether it has some impact to the research society. That means whether it is cited, you have some site score. Google Scholar usually give that. If you have any site score, whether you have I10 papers, like what do you mean by I10? It means if your paper has more than 10 citations, it is under I10. So if you have 10 papers for which you have more than 10 citations, your I10 score is 10. Similarly, there are other factors like H index. You may be knowing that. H index means if you have an H index of say 20, that means you have more than 20 papers which have more than 20 citations. So suppose you have 15 or maybe 100 papers you have, and each of the papers may be having different citation values. So suppose in this 100 papers, if you have say 50 papers with at least 50 citations, then your H index is 50. So like that, H index is also very important. And there are impact factor also. When you select journals for publication, you should always go to their site and see what is the impact factor of this particular journal. For example, if you have some impact factor of above 0.5 only, some universities may be considering it as a valid publication. So H index, hello with H index. H index is for authors, and impact factor of the journal is very important. You have to have some minimum impact factor. Some highly impactful journals like Nature and all may be having impact factor of say more than 50, maybe 100, etc. And usually in areas like signal processing and all, say 2, 2.5, 3, etc. is very considered to be a good value for impact factor. Now, you have Scopus versus Web of Science, and you have the SCI index papers, all these kind of things. And provided you have publications that can be considered as open access, there are open access fee that is to be paid on subscription models. Those can be say different types of subscriptions like gold, green, and hybrid. There are several types, and usually open access means you may need to pay some fees for that. So usually the best way to go for publication is to consider journals which are non-paid. That may be open access and may not be open access. Mostly they will be subscription based and not open access. Subscription based to institutes they may be providing. For example, IEEE, say Elsevier, Springer, etc. They have both open access as well as subscription based. So subscription based journals, they may not be having any publication fee as such. And the strategies of choosing right journal, you can always go for top down approach. I mean, you go for the best journal. For say, for example, if you have a um, broader area or broader spectrum of people in your mind, then say you go for nature publication first, and if that doesn't work out, you go for the next best journal. For example, in audio processing, you can go for Journal of Acoustical Society of America, like that. Then, if that also doesn't work out, you come down and you look for Q1 journals and maybe essay index journals also, and you see whichever is the possible publication. For example, if it is audio, you have applied acoustics, journal of new music research, kind of set of things. So since I'm familiar with audio kind signal processing, I may be referring this. And for your area, there may be set of journals which you may be knowing or you can explore as you move on in your research. On the way, am I audible? I'm clear, right? All of you understand me, right? All of you getting it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. If anything is interrupting, kindly, or all of you are free to stop me at any time. And like, if you have any doubt, you can stop me at any time and ask question. And at the end also, I'll give some time for you to queries. Yeah.
Yes. Okay,
Now
sir.
coming
Okay.
back. Yeah. Thank you. So that top-down approach that is one of the strategy for choosing a target journal. So you look for the best journal. If that doesn't work out, you go for below journal, and you can go for Q1 journal. If that also doesn't work out, you go for Q2 journal, like that, a top-down approach. So if your work is good, definitely it will go to the best journal. And some of you may be having experience with like publishing in conferences and all. So when you go for conferences, it may be easier. Not for all conferences. There are conferences of different types. Say premier conferences. Say as in the case of audio processing, Acoustic Society of America, they have some conferences, and ICASP is the International Conference on Acoustic Speech Processing. That is the premier most conference in our area. So that also the acceptance rate is very low. Like if you they get say 10,000 papers, maybe less than 500 may be accepted like that. So the acceptance ratio may be very low for such kind of premier journals. Other premier journals of signal processing is European Signal Processing, USIPCO, European Signal Processing Conference. That also happens in every year. It is conducted at different European countries. So that is another premier conference. Like that, all areas have their own premier conferences. So initially, when you start your research, it is always better to publish in a conference, probably in the society. You may be having Signal Processing Society or say ASME for mechanical engineers and ASE civil engineers, like that, American Society for Civil Engineers. All these have their own conferences, and many of them are society sponsored or society conducting conferences sponsored or conducted by the society. So those kind of conferences are of high quality, and you can always start publishing from there. Then afterwards, when you move through the research, you can go for a better publication, like a journal publication. And as in the case of journals, conference also, you can go for top-down approach, where if the first premier conference, if it doesn't work out, you go for the next level of conference. And if that also doesn't work out, you go for a lower conference. Like that, you publish in a conference paper, and afterwards, when you start moving on in your research, and you'll have a quantum of work which is enough for a journal, because journal paper means say conference papers maybe 4 or 5 pages, but journal papers should be maybe say more than 12 or 20, depending on the journal. It may vary. So if the quantum of work is as much as for that of a journal, you can go for the journal publication, and that too in the top-down way. So that is how you go for the selection of or targeting the journals. And usually when you go for, you can have journal finders tools that are available in premier, say publishers like Elsevier, Springer, Wiley, etc. For example, say some journals are published by universities also. MIT have one journal in computer music journal like that. So that is again in the audio processing area. Similar to that, some universities also have some journals of like that. So you can use the journal finder tools for finding the apt journal for your work. So if your work is say is in music processing, you can go for some audio processing, say mathematical. Since this is an interdisciplinary, you can go for kind of journal which is apt to the your work. So it is always important to find the journal, the apt journal for your work, and for that you can use journal finder tools which are available with the publishers. Usually for Elsevier, Springer, Wiley, etc. They have such things. And and when you come to the say timeline of your publication, say if it is a journal publication, you can look for journals which take lesser number of time, say maybe 3 months or 4 months. And some journals they have some option for giving the probable reviewers who can review these things. So those kind of things are possible. And say when you come to writing a good journal paper, there are many things, many components which are very important. The abstract should be precise, and it should tell which are the major contributions and what are the keywords, searchable keywords which are included in your work. And you should have proper introduction, methodology, research, results, and discussion, conclusion, and acknowledgements. All these things most of you may be knowing. And the most importantly, abstract should be very crisp and clear. What is your work and how much is the percentage of improvement that you have when you compare it with the previous work. Sometimes some works may not have any previous work comparison because that may be too innovative. So in that case, you have to tell what is the main innovation in your work. And whenever you write a paper, you should think that you should think in terms of the reviewer. What the reviewer will think when I write this. So you should sometimes during writing you should take the form of the reviewer and ask yourself what you will feel if you are a reviewer. So those kind of approaches are very important when you go for your research article writing, because the articles which gets most probably accepted are written like that by considering reviewer also in the mind. So that is another criteria that you should be considering while going for the research paper writing. And in the introduction, you have to definitely tell what are the research gaps that are possible and that you have found and possibly filled in gap in this particular journal paper. And the methods, the methodology should be clearly reproducible. And sometimes if you can support it with some say codes in the GitHub will be very useful because that shows the reproducibility of your research. The work can be just simulated and see that the results are produced, and reviewers, some of the reviewers may be going into the codes and seeing how it works. So those things, reproducibility of the methodology that you have proposed is very important. Now, the case of results, you can visualize, you have to visualize data in terms of, say, graphs, bar graphs, pie chart, etc. Whatever possibilities, effectively you have to use the figures and graphs for such things. And discussions are also very important. You have to be interpret the findings within the broader context, telling that these are my findings and this is how it is different from the other works, and these are the advantages, disadvantages, if any, should also be um, uh, ex- um, told, and you can conclude with the limitations, future directions, etc. And always you should acknowledge if it is a funded project or if it is partially funded by your institution or whatever fund used, or if you have taken some help of some other, like for example in our work we take the data from musicians, so we'll usually acknowledge the musicians, and those kind of acknowledgements can also be given. Now, some journals may ask for some cover letter. This is how you express your work to the editors. So that is also very important. And when the editor may be having a broader knowledge than the narrower knowledge, narrower or deeper knowledge that you have in the subject, and in that case, you may need to put a cover letter also. And what happens when you send a journal for peer review post submission? After you submit, what happens? That also we should be clear about. Some of those who have already published in journals may be knowing that, but if you have say maybe published in a conference but looking for a journal, may not be knowing that. So the submission workflow, what happens next? You have to know after the submission what is happening. Usually, understanding the peer review. What do you mean by peer review? Peer review means there are many people working in the same area that you are working. So peers are those who are working in the same area as yours, and those who may be accomplished in some way or other, maybe as editor or maybe has published several papers in those particular area. So like that, you have so many peers. So these peers review the journal paper that you have submitted, and that is called peer-reviewed journals, the journals that are reviewed by your peers. And that too can be, say, single blind reviewed, double blind reviewed, and open reviewed. And there are different types of reviews. So blind review means usually the reviewer may not be getting any chance to understand who has submitted the paper, which institution you are affiliated, or which publisher you are. Nothing is available to him, and that kind of review is called blind review. And most of the good journals go for blind review. And that may be single reviewer, and there will be multiple reviewers. And most of the journals will be having double blind review or triple blind review, kind of more people reviews the paper. And if there are 3 reviewers and 2 of the reviewers tell that this is acceptable for this particular journal, then that will be accepted. That's kind of, and that also depends on whether the acceptance rate of the journal. So if the acceptance rate is too low, then even if 2 people tell that and be accepted, 1 person reject, sometimes it may be rejected. That depends on the journal policies also. So that will be finally decided by the editor. And now coming to um, what could be the common reasons for immediate desk rejection? You would have heard about desk rejection. That means the editor itself rejects the journal. So usually the desk rejection happens when, say, you have a paper submitted to the journal, and the paper would have reached the editor, and the editor see that this paper is not apt for this particular journal, or sometimes you may feel that the work is not enough, the quantum of work is not enough, and sometimes you may feel that the English is not good enough. And desk rejection happens when the editor himself feel that this need not be given to the another reviewer. I can myself take a decision on this paper. So that happens, or that kind of rejection is called desk rejection. So if your paper have been thoroughly looked into by yourself as well as your authors and maybe some reviewers who help you before the submission to the journal, there is less probability that it is desk rejected. But sometimes when you feel that this paper is apt for the particular journal, and the journal editor may feel that this area that you have done is not apt for the particular journal, then desk rejection may happen that time also. And say some common uh, reasons for immediate desk rejections are these. And you can you can see the editor decisions whether they are accept, say, minor, major revision, reject, etc. So this kind of things always happen. Yeah. And when it comes to handling, say, so what are the common types of the rejections that you see? It could be a revision and accept. Decisions could be accept, minor, major revision, reject. So when two of the authors tells that this paper is best, then they accept it. And sometimes the reviewers themselves, they may tell that some minor revision is required for the paper to be accepted. Then they will tell that the um, editor may tell that you need this kind of minor revisions before accepting. And sometimes some major revision also they may recommend, where some major works also need to be done and need to be compared with some previous works or kind of stuffs. So that is another uh, another decision that may come from the editor. And sometimes when two of the reviewers tells that this work is not enough, or this cannot be accepted as such kind of review, if the editor get, he may immediately reject the uh, paper. So these are the decisions taken by the editor based on the reviewers comments or reviewers feedback. Now Now, how will you respond to reviewer comments? Usually, you may need to respond to the reviewer's comments. Um, say when they ask for some major correction or minor corrections. So that always you should do in a polite but firm way. You can tell that you have to be very polite while replying to the reviewer comments. But you should be firm also when you have um, when you have the knowledge that this is whatever you have told is correct. That way you can go. Now, how do you handle the rejection? Now turning failure into a new submission, that is very important. You always, as we go for top-down approach for journal publication, you may get a rejection at the first stage when you go for the best journal. So in that case, you have to handle the um, handle the failure or the rejection, and you have to go for a new submission. So in that case, you have to be ready for that. And what about proofreading and say you have to do all the proofreading. The English grammar is very important. You have to cross check 2 or 3 times with some English grammarians. That will be a good approach when you go for submission, because say mostly when you submit a journal, it may be going to a English speaking country, maybe US or UK, or European countries. I'm not telling that they are English speaking people, but mostly it will go to an author who is an English speaking person. So in that case, when you write something in English which is incorrect in grammar, that will be very awkward to them. As like in Malayalam also, when we hear നിങ്ങൾ പോകുന്നുണ്ടോ പോകുന്നു എന്നൊക്കെ, like that, when we hear, we feel that say this person don't know Malayalam. So such a feeling can happen in research journal writing also. So when a feeling that this English is not good, that also can cause some rejection as well as rejection by the reviewers themselves. So those kind of things have to be taken care of. Now, yeah, these are the main things about research publications. And say when you come to ethics, what are the ethics in the that should be taken care of? First, it should be the integrity, honesty, respect for others. All these things should be done. For example, when you take some work from, say, other person's work, you have to clearly cite it in the reference. And whenever you take a figure from even from internet, you have to give the URL for that and give acknowledgement. So all these comes under the integrity, honesty, respect, etc. And you shouldn't use any figures like but all the figures, any figures which you use from others' research, you should properly cite. So that is very important. So that is for the first aspect of ethics. And there are sometimes in institutions also, if institutions go for submissions, institution review boards will be there, and ethics committee approval may be required. That's especially when you go for, say, biology based papers, say when some data of people are used, say from some biomedical background, some EEG data, ECG data, etc. Then, and some patients data. Data is important, and in such kind of scenarios, always there will be some ethical clearance that are required from the institution sometimes. And if you have some collaborative institutions, there may be some ethical committees, and clearance from those ethical committees are also required for those kind of things. And you have to, if some human subject research are there, as I told, you have to get the consent for that. And the case of animals also, some like when you go for some research in some medicines by applying it to some animals, say some if you want to find the how the medicine behaves in some animals, in pigs or in some guinea pigs or whatever it is, you have to follow the ethical treatment of animals in those kind of research. And there could be some conflict of interest also in some cases, like when some reviewers are asked to be suggested by you for some journals. When you submit a journal, they may ask for possible reviews that could be that you can give. So in that case, you can give some conflict of interest also. So this I don't prefer this people. Because there are some conflict of interest kind of things also you can mention. All these possibilities are there. And data management, whenever you deal with data, their storage, their privacy, their confidentiality, all these are very important. Data is, you know, that when the artificial intelligence come into picture, the data is the king. You need a lot of data, and all this data need to be like considered privately and stored securely, and confidentiality should also be taken care of. Now, all these are the main responsibilities of a researcher when it comes to ethics. And when we talk about publication ethics, you have to avoid misconduct. So, what do you mean by misconduct? The big three of research misconduct, they are fabrications, falsification, and plagiarism. They call it FFP. So you may be knowing what is fabrication. You can fabricate data. If you don't have data, you take your own data, you create some data and put it in the um, Excel sheet to generate the graph. So that is called fabrication. Fabrication of data is a misconduct. And falsification. So you tell that you get some 99% accuracy, and you may be getting some say 80% accuracy. So those kind of falsification. And plagiarism, you know, taking results from others paper, and you use it in your paper without proper citation. All this comes under um, this kind of um, plagiarism. And there are different types of plagiarism. Direct plagiarism is the patch writing, self plagiarism. All these are different types of plagiarism. Self plagiarism means you have already published something. From those publication of yourself, you are taking without proper citation. You are taking those material and putting in the new journal and sending it there. So that is self plagiarism. That also is not acceptable until and unless you put your citations as it is required. Now, image manipulation. So image also, like say, suppose you generate um, generate a figure, say using MATLAB or Python, and you make some changes in the values, and you do the manipulations in the figure. So all this comes under image manipulation. That is also not acceptable. So all this comes under the general misconduct in journal publications. Okay, and uh, then you have unethical authorship. What do you mean by unethical authorship? You can usually a journal can have say 2 authors, 3 authors, and maybe more if this work done by a large group, maybe 7 or that kind of numbering. So numbers of authors may be different depending on the quantum of work and the team that are involved in the work. So there could be some unethical authorship like gift, ghost, guest authors, kind of things. So I shall tell what is this gift authors. GIFT, gift authors is some you gift an authorship to a person who is not actually part of your work, but maybe it's your spouse, or it may be someone who you like, or whatever be the reason, it may be your relative, whatever the reason is, you cannot gift an authorship to someone. That is not possible. And sometimes, say, ghost authors and guest authors, there are different types of authors, which actually the authors, all these are authors which are not actually involved in the work that is converted to the journal. So all these should be avoided. Uh, Usually, if it is a group of, say, researchers, for example, in our lab, in our audio processing lab that we have in Government Engineering College Thrissur, there are 4 or 5 researchers who are working in the same area. So all of them may be working in some particular area, and they may be helping the others in some way or other. And it may be a teamwork. In that case, the first author may be the main author who is doing the work, and the second author may be who is helping in one way or other. Third author may be other scholar who may be helping this. So, and the gate PhD gate may be the final author kind of things. And this research groups, they usually publish say n number of papers with this n number of scholars. That is acceptable because all of them are involved in the work and in one way or other. So the main author may be the first author or corresponding author, mostly first author, and the guide usually will be the last author, depending on sometimes. Even though a guide is guiding the work, he may be contributed. He would have contributed the main part, and he may be the first author. In that case, they may not be able to, or they may not be able to present it as a criteria for PhD publication or PhD dissertation. And those are the main things that you should be taken care of. Now you have, say, publications like when you select a journal, as I told, you can go for top-down journal targeting. But always, there are some journals which are of, say, very low quality. Maybe they, you would have seen International Journal of Emerging Engineering Technology, International Journal of Electronics and Communication Engineering, International Journal of Computer Engineering, internet kind of things. Journals are not at all acceptable because these are all redundant publications. Better not to go for a publication than to publish in these kind of journals. They may be giving you some credentials, but ultimately, in long term, this will not help you in any way. So always be clear that if you want some credential as a researcher, always go for good journal publication. Don't go for these third-rated journals. Better you go for a conference publication first. Any conference may be fine, but don't go for a journal which is of least quality. Always go for the top-down approach, and I'm sure that if your work is good, in 2 or 3 steps from top to down, you will be able to publish your work. So that is something you have to taken care of. And yeah, when it comes to ethics and disclosures, you have to give some disclosures also in and AI in the role. You have artificial intelligence have also some role in journal publications now. Say I know that I have heard that some journals which are written by AI cannot be distinguished by the say reviewers as a human written or machine written journal. So those kind of difficulty is arising nowadays due to artificial intelligence. But any researcher or any reviewer who knows how a AI based system gives output, they can easily see what is the um, whether it is a computer generated or machine generated. So using AI for using AI exclusively for generating a journal paper is not at all recommended, and always it is good to start writing scratch by the authors by yourself. That is the best way of writing the journal. And whenever you complete a journal paper, always you should go for plagiarism check, which is available. There are many plagiarism check tools available. For example, Turnitin. Uh, Turnitin is one, Turnitin. Turnitin. Then there are several other types of tools that are available for finding um, whether your paper has some plagiarism. Either it is self plagiarism or intentional plagiarism or unintentional plagiarism, whatever it is. You can check whether your work has some kind of such things possible. Now, okay. So these are the main things that are to be considered while going for a journal publication. And there are some possibilities of, you may ask, why do we publish? And why do we publish basically? So you publish because you want to get visibility. Um, the visibility can be high depending on the your collaboration with whom you are collaborating. If you have some international collaborators, that will be always good. And you can have collaboration with interdisciplinary work in with other departments of institute or other institute, and you have some and why do you publish? You it of course it leads to a career progression. We always people tell that publish or perish. That means if you publish, you can you will continue to be in or your progression will happen, or if you don't publish, it's you perish, or um, so that kind of things are still there. Yeah, so these are the main things. And when you select for journals, target audience are very important. Either some, as I told, sometimes you may go for specialist and sometimes generalist kind of journals. Yeah, and database, the importance of database in research. Say when you go for a research, mostly you may be getting some say database which are already available, which someone would have already done, and sometimes it is probably a work which you are first doing, and database may not be available. So in that case, a lot of hours may need to be spent for this kind of data. For example, in the case of our research, we may need to record audios, say music, if it is music processing, you may take the, um, you may require to take the artist to say studios and record it. sometimes when it is audio processing, you may need to take some speech signals, say from particular languages, depending on what kind of work you are doing. Um, for example, I happen to be an expert for a UGC Stride project, expert for that, which was for one college in Palakkad, and that was based on the uh, say Vedic chanting. So we need to find all the people who are who chant Vedas, and we have to take them to studio and record these voices. So depending on that, so most depending on the work that you do, database may be available, may not be available. If it is not available, you have to create the database. And when you create database, you need to make sure that it is of the best quality that is required. And as I told, data is required in a huge amount for, say, AI based systems. So if your work is based on, I hope I'm audible, right?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Okay, okay, thank you. So whenever when we need a huge amount of data, you can go for some data augmentation, which are possible in, say, AI systems. Or data augmentation is another area itself. You can produce data from or generate data from available data. So that can be done using, say, GAN system, generated adversarial network, or different types of systems are there for generating data. So when you don't have enough data, you can generate data from the available data that you have. And the data, you have to sometimes pre-process the data. For example, if it is an audio, you may need to denoise if the data is from, say, noisy characteristics. If it is a studio quality recording, that may not be required. But in other ways, also data need to be processed. For example, when you are going to give it to an AI system, you may need to truncate it to the length and breadth or whatever is the dimension. You have to make the dimension uniform for all the data, and those kind of things are required in the case of say data pre-processing and processing. And you have several sites where data are available, and if you know or not, I don't know, you have some conferences exclusively for database. Some conferences are there for exclusively for database, and that gives some validation to your the data that you have created. So that is the importance of data in your research. Okay, now coming to the title of the journal. So whenever you go for the publication, the title is very important. It should precisely tell or concisely tell what is the work that what is the novelty in your work. But that doesn't mean that your uh, mm, title should start with novel application of, it doesn't it is not required, or modified, this kind of thing, kind of stuff. But whatever whatever innovation or whatever, the main content of your work should be reflected in the title. That is very important. So when once the reviewer read the title itself, he should get what is inside the journal. And once he finish the reading the abstract, everything inside the journal article should be clear to him. So writing in that way is the title as well as abstract is very important. So that's all about the and one important thing that I have to tell is the figures, the results, the whatever the results or whatever the figures that you use, either in result portion, or say the methodology portion has some workflow as flow diagram, whatever it is. All these figures should be of high clarity. Usually they are of say figures of type EPS or PS, PostScript or enhanced PostScript, and they should be having say DPI pixel per that should be about 300 and all. So if you go for PostScript or EPS, PS.ps and .eps are the best to be used in the journal publication. So whenever you produce a MATLAB file or Python file, you can save it as a .ps PostScript file or enhanced PostScript EPS kind of files. So that is also very important. So whenever as a reviewer, I usually go for whenever I review some journals, I usually see what is the kind of figure that if you enlarge the figure, if the clarity is being lost, that means they would have used some JPEG or some figures from the internet, or actually they have not taken proper care um, of the figure that is being used in this paper. So that gives a bad impression to the reviewer. So you have to always keep in mind the what the reviewer will think if you are the reviewer. Uh, so in that way, if you proceed, you always need to put a very good clarity picture of maybe more than 300 dpi, and usually .ps and .tps figures, if you generate yourself, that will give as much clarity that is required for a journal publication. And yeah, now in the discussions you can uh, compare your results with previous works, as I told. And sometimes if there are not any previous works, you may tell that this the first kind of work that has happened in this area, and you can tell what are the use of this introduction of this new methodology. All these things you can tell. And in the conclusion part, you can tell one or two limitations which definitely will be there in your with respect to your work. So that also you can mention and summarize it such that say in the summary or in the conclusion, the reviewer, after abstract reading the abstract, he may go to the conclusion. He will tell, or he'll see what has actually happened in the paper, and the conclusion it should be reflected properly, so that once he read the abstract and conclusion, he should feel that he has read the whole paper. So that kind of inclusion in the conclusion is very important. And say reference, when you go for putting the reference, you have to put as many references as possible. Say maybe if it is a journal of say 10 or 20 pages, or 10 to 15 to 20 pages, you should have say references of maybe 20, 30 or even more. And all the works that whatever you have written as statement should be cited, and that should come in the reference. That is very important. So in a journal, suppose in the music area, I am telling that Indian classical music is a journal which have say inflections, gamagas, etc. Then you have to put the proper citation and tell that this in this particular journal this is told like that, and this definitely that will be a peer reviewed journal, and that is how we proceed in each of the sentences. And usually the references should come in the order of or in the journal. So first reference will be coming in the first portion. Then as you go on writing the paper, second reference will come, third reference will come, like that. So you should arrange all those in the reference section also. And usually when you go for writing a journal, it is always better to use uh, say LaTeX rather than rather than Word, because it is the best that you can have. Say the difference between Word and LaTeX or tech is that this is in Word, whatever you get is whatever you see. But in LaTeX, whatever you get is not whatever you see, but whatever you tell in the as instruction as our code. So whenever you write the code and tell that this is a table and this is to be centered and it should come to the left side, all these are written as codes and it comes as such in the journal, as such in the paper. But it would have been written in a whatever you see is not whatever you write is whatever you not see in the journal. So that um, kind of tech, LaTeX, that is very good when say when you want to cite all the references in the appropriate order. You just need to tell these are the citations, and if you remove one of the citations, the numbering order changes automatically. All those things happens only when you write the codes, as in the case of LaTeX. And suppose you have some, say, figure, one figure need to be added, so then all the figure numbers need to be changed. All these are taken care of automatically in the LaTeX. So always better to start your journal or conference writing with LaTeX. And we can definitely see the difference between a paper prepared in LaTeX and other softwares like Word. The paper prepared in a LaTeX have the professional look, and you have a lot of templates that are available. Um, all the most of the good journals provide both LaTeX templates and Word template, but it's always better to go for LaTeX templates and start writing the journal works in that manner. Okay, so that is the main things about the journal writing, the tool that you use for writing. Yeah, and these are the main things that I wanted to convey.
So, okay, so
Yeah.
participants, do you have any questions regarding the session? If you have any queries, you can raise your hands or just type the questions in the chat box too.
Sir, good evening. It was a nice talk.
Yeah.
Can you please that kind of papers, how the PhD scholars should start thinking about it? Should they start it at the beginning, or is it that once they proceed with their objectives, in between they keep collecting the data, and then what is your opinion, sir?
Okay. Do you mind introducing yourself?
Sorry, I am Dr. Ashwini from PES University.
Okay.
Preferably, sir, I may have been
Yes, I know.
your junior or junior in CET. I don't know exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine. So it's always good for going for um, say writing a paper after you look for the say all the literature. If there are no proper say review papers, you can always go for that. But some review journals, review papers are sometimes not considered for PhD publications. Like since these are no innovation may be incorporated in that. So that even though if it is SCA index, it may not be considered for PhD publication for some universities. So that have to be taken care of. If you put a lot of effort on that and you make a good journal and you publish it, and if it is an SCA index journal and all, if that is not considered for PhD, say award, consideration for the awarding, then that will be difficult. So always make sure that uh, if you are writing a review paper, you have to be clear about what is the purpose. If you want to study the subject clearly, it is a good. So it's good. You can go for that. You can write a good review paper. And if already a review paper is available on the topic, it is of little use. So if there are no review papers on the particular subject area you are going, you are researching, you can always go for a review journal paper, but always make sure that, or you have to have in mind that sometimes this may not be accepted for as a requirement for PhD kind of things. So always you can start in the beginning stage itself. You can go for review paper if it is if one is not available in your area. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Any other participants, if you have any doubts, you can ask or you can type in the chat box.
If anybody is typing in the chat box, moderator kindly.
Sure, sir.
read it
I'm
out for
looking in the chat
participants.
box. Sure, sir. Sure, sir. I'm looking in the chat box. So far, no questions are there.
Okay.
It seems like we have no questions for the time, sir.
Okay.
Okay. So on behalf of the organizing committee, I extend our sincere thanks to Dr. Sinith M.S. sir for a highly informative and insightful session on publication strategies and ethics. The clarity of explanation and practical guidance shared today will be extremely valuable to all participants. I also thank the participants for your active presence and engagement. We look forward to meeting you again in the upcoming sessions of the FDP tomorrow. And dear participants, and as informed before, we have a photo session at the end of this session. So I kindly request you all to turn on the cameras for a quick photo session and wait for 2 to 3 seconds for the click to be made. I request participants to turn on their cameras.
One more thing I want to tell is I shall share the PPT.
Okay, sir.
I didn't use a PPT as such for this particular presentation, but even then I can share all this content with you. I'll share it with the coordinator. Is that fine?
Sure, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay.
Participants may kindly turn on the cameras for a quick photo session. I'll be informing once the screenshot has been saved. Thank you all. And once again, thanking you, sir, on behalf of Vidya Academy of Science and Technology Technical Campus, Research and Development Wing, the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering. Thank you so much, sir. Also, the dear participants, the feedback link has been shared in the chat box. You can submit the same. Thank you, sir. Thank you once again. Thank you, dear participants. See you tomorrow.